The scream cut through the crash of waves like a blade. Jake Harlan dropped his daughter's sand-covered hand and sprinted, bare feet slapping hot sand, heart already in his throat. A cluster of sunbathers parted around a woman sprawled on her back, skin the color of printer paper, lips turning blue. No one moved. Phones hovered, but no one touched her. Move. Jake barked, shoving through. He dropped to his knees beside her. Designer sunglasses lay cracked beside a spilled iced coffee, someone else's panic. He tilted her head, pinched the nose, and breathed life into lungs that had forgotten how. 1, 2, 3 compressions, his palms slick with sunscreen and salt. His 6-year-old, Lily, stood frozen 10 feet away, clutching her plastic shovel like a lifeline. Come on, damn it, he muttered between breaths. A rib gave under his hands. The crack echoed louder than the gulls. He didn't stop. Couldn't. He'd lost one person already, his wife, 2 years ago, to an aneurysm in a grocery aisle. He wasn't losing this stranger. The woman convulsed. A cough, then a gasp that sounded like the ocean itself inhaling. Her eyes, storm grey, snapped open and locked on his. For a second, the world narrowed to salt air and the frantic thud of 2 hearts trying to sink. Stay with me, Jake said, voice raw. Breathe. Sirens wailed closer. Paramedics took over. Someone draped a towel over the woman's shoulders. Someone else asked Jake his name like he was a hero. He wasn't. He was a 34-year-old carpenter with calluses and child support worries, sand in his beard, and a daughter who hadn't blinked since the scream. The woman, Elena Voss, he'd learn later, tried to sit up. My bag, she rasped. A Louis Vuitton weekender lay half-buried nearby. Jake fetched it without thinking. Their fingers brushed. Static jumped between them. Thank you, she whispered, and fainted clean into his arms. 3 days later Jake was back on that same stretch of Carolina coast, hammering driftwood into the frame of a beachside pergola. Sawdust clung to his forearms. Lily colored in the shade of his pickup, humming the Paw Patrol theme off-key. A shadow fell over his workbench. He looked up and froze. Elena Voss stood there in linen shorts and a plain white tee, hair twisted in a knot, no trace of the billionaire heiress the local news had splashed across headlines. Voss Enterprises CEO saved by local dad. The article had included a blurry photo of Jake's back, Lily's tiny silhouette in the foreground. Hi, she said, voice steadier than on the sand. I owe you a life. Jake wiped his hands on a rag. You don't owe me anything. Oxygen's free. A smile tugged at her mouth, small, surprised, real. Still. Coffee. She nodded toward the Boardwalk Cafe. My treat. And your daughter's milkshake. Lily peeked around his leg. Chocolate. Elena crouched. With extra whipped cream and a cherry on top. That was how it started. Challenge 1. The gap money carves between people. Elena's world was private jets and boardrooms in Manhattan. Jake's was overdue bills and 6 a.m. alarm clocks so he could finish cabinetry before kindergarten drop-off. When she invited them to dinner at her beach house, glass walls, infinity pool, a chef who called her Ms. Voss, Jake almost said no. Pride tasted metallic. But Lily tugged his sleeve. Daddy, she has a telescope. She said we can see Jupiter. So he went, in his one clean button-down that strained across the shoulders. The chef served lobster. Jake ate 2 bites and worried about the cost. Elena watched him push food around. Later, on the deck, Lily asleep against his chest, Elena poured him wine he didn't want. You hate this, she said quietly. Not you, he clarified. The performance. I fix things with my hands. I don't know how to talk to people who buy islands. I don't own an island, she said. Yet. Her laugh cracked. I'm terrible at this too. People want the heiress, not the woman who still checks under the bed for monsters. He studied her then, bare feet, chipped toenail polish, the faint bruise on her ribs where he'd pressed life back in. She looked breakable. Challenge 2, the past that refuses to stay buried. Jake's wife, Mara, had been his high school sweetheart. Her death left a hole shaped like laughter in the kitchen, like someone to argue with over whose turn it was to read the bedtime story. He hadn't dated. Hadn't wanted to. Until Elena's hand brushed his reaching for the same shell on the beach and something in his chest unclenched. Elena's monster was different. Her father had built Voss Enterprises on steel and silence, dying when she was 19 and leaving her the throne. She'd learned early that love was transactional. Sign here, smile there. Then a drowning cracked that armor. For the first time, she wanted something she couldn't buy. One night, storm rolling in, Lily woke screaming from a nightmare. Jake stumbled to her room in the tiny rental they called home. Elena, who'd insisted on driving them back because of the weather, followed. She sat on the carpet while Jake rocked his daughter, humming the lullaby Mara used to sing. When Lily finally slept, Elena's eyes were wet. "I never had that," she whispered in the hallway. "Someone who stayed." Jake's voice came out rough. "You could." Challenge 3. The world noticing. Paparazzi camped outside Jake's job sites. A tabloid offered 6 figures for the single dad side. Elena's board pushed for a prenup before they'd even said "I love you." Investors whispered she was distracted. Stock dipped. She flew to Tokyo to save a merger. Jake fixed a gazebo in the rain and fielded calls from Lily's teacher about head lice. Distance stretched thin. Texts turned clipped. Then the call at 2 a.m. Elena's voice shaking from a hotel in Singapore. "They're saying I'm unstable. That I need to choose, company or whatever this is." Jake sat on the edge of Lily's bed, phone to his ear, thunder outside. "What do you want, Elena?" Silence crackled across oceans. "You," she said finally. "God help me. You, and that little girl and Sunday pancakes that taste like burnt sugar. But I don't know how to keep it." "Come home," he said. "We'll burn more pancakes together." Resolution tasted like salt air and second chances. Elena stepped down as CEO. Not out, advisory board, voting shares, but the crown was off her head. She bought the crumbling beach cafe where they'd shared that first milkshake, turned it into a community hub with a workshop in back where Jake taught kids to build birdhouses. Profits funded scholarships. Lily got the corner table for homework and unlimited sprinkles. The wedding was small, 20 people on the same stretch of sand where she'd died and come back. Elena wore her mother's simple lace. Jake's suit was new, bought with money from a pergola commission for the governor. Lily scattered petals and asked if she could call Elena Mom now. Elena cried so hard her mascara ran into the ocean. Years later, tourists still asked about the bronze plaque by the cafe door. In memory of the day a stranger gave a woman breath, and she gave him a family. Jake and Elena kept a defibrillator mounted beside it, red case gleaming. Every anniversary they taught CPR on the beach. Free lessons, no cameras. Lily, now 10, demonstrated on a dummy while her little brother napped in the shade. Love, they told the wide-eyed crowd, isn't the lightning strike. It's the steady push of palms against a silent chest, the choice to keep breathing for someone else long after the sirens fade. And somewhere in the crash of waves, a heart that once stopped learned how to beat for 3.